Welcome back for the next installment of this tutorial. For the purpose of this exercise, I'm going to stop my web host server so as not to confuse with the servers that we're actually discussing for this project. While that's stopping, we do need to create one more instance. Again, we're going to use Red Hat. This one is not going to be in our cluster VPC. This one's going to be outside. And we do not need to specify any kind of special availability zone. And it's going to assign a public IP. So for this one, we'll just name this our outside server. And we'll create a new security group. And for now, we will give this all access. And we will use the same Galera key. We'll filter by our running instances. Soon as our outside server is configured, it should show up here. And there we go. Alright, I have gone ahead and gotten the Galera key from the downloads and moved it into my SSH folder. So, what we want to do here is grab our public IP for our outside server. And what we're going to do is we're going to pass the key as well as log into the server. And we want to put it in the .ssh directory of our outside server. One thing that you need to do is make sure that the modifications on the key file are set to 400. And now let's try that again. Alright, there we go. And now, what we want to do is verify that we can log in. And there we are on our outside server. So now that we've created this outside server, let's go back to our console. And adjust our security groups. We'll pull in our notepad document here to keep a couple key points. For example, our outside server, the current public IP, our Bastion server, our HA proxy server, which we're going to give elastic IPs so that they don't change when the servers are rebooted. So for now, let's go to the elastic IP section. What we want to do is we want to allocate 2 addresses. So we'll get our first one and then our second one. Alright. So this one that's existing is for my current web server, we can just disregard that. So for the Bastion server, we'll associate this guy. And for all you smart Alex who think you're going to mess with my web server, this IP is going to be changed before these videos are posted, so there's that. Alright, so let's associate. With the Bastion server. And this guy with the HA proxy server. Alright, we are good to go there. Now, what we want to do is we want to clean up our security groups. And you can see these don't have name tags yet, so let's modify those real quick. Okay, now let's start with our HA proxy server. What kind of inbound access is the HA proxy going to need? Well, we're going to need 22 from our recently created outside server. I'm sorry, I take that back. We're going to need SSH on our Bastion server. So in order to add that, you can just begin to type the security group and the name will come up. And let's add a rule. We're going to need MySQL from our outside server, as this is the proxy that's going to direct us to which node. So over here we can just put the correct IP. And we're also going to need a custom TCP rule. When we generate stats for our node clusters, it's going to be through port 9000, and that's also going to be coming from our outside server. Okay, it did not like that. Maybe it will like that. Alright, so good to go. Don't forget that /32. So now if we go on to our Bastion server, we just need to provide SSH from our web server, or from our outside server. Okay, and now our nodes. The nodes are going to be able to speak with each other, so we'll provide all traffic within its own subnet. And then we're going to also need SSH from the Bastion group. And we're going to need accept MySQL connections from our proxy server. Let's go ahead and get those saved. Alright, so we've created our outside server and we have modified our security groups. The next thing that we'll need to do is go into our Bastion server and our HA proxy and our nodes and install the required packages.